Hi, Mrs. Dion. Today we're going to be discussing life substances. In part one, we'll be discussing proteins and carbohydrates. So life substances are going to be compounds that all living things need to have in order to survive. They're all based in carbon. Carbon is going to be important because all elements are able to easily bond with carbon because of their atomic structure. So these are all based in carbon. They're considered to be organic compounds because it has to do with the word organism, meaning living things. So organic, organism, these all refer to life or compounds that are found in living things. So here's the four main substances we will be discussing. Part one, we'll talk about proteins and carbohydrates. We will also have another part two, which will discuss lipids and nucleic acids. So first, protein. These are the four different elements protein is made out of. Nitrogen is unique to protein. The building block of proteins are called amino acids. So all proteins are made of these compounds called amino acids. They will go together in different ways in order to make proteins. Here's the structure of one amino acid. Notice the nitrogen that is found in the amino acid. Proteins are going to be held together by a specific type of bond called a peptide bond that will actually connect the proteins, the amino acids together in order to form a protein. This is showing you how a peptide bond is made. This right here represents water, the two H's and the O. The water actually is removed, and then the carbon and the nitrogen from up here come together, and that forms a peptide bond and joins these two amino acids together. Here's protein's role in living things. Protein's very important. It's used for building. So really any structure in a living thing is made of protein. Your muscle, your skin, your hair, fingernails, organs, it's all protein. So it's a very, very important source that should be in our diets because it's basically what living things are made out of, which is protein. Some proteins also are considered enzymes, which is a little bit of a different role. Enzymes are chemical structures that can either speed up a chemical reaction in your body or slow down a chemical reaction in your body. So they'll also function in that role too, which is a little different than how we said they're used for building. So they can really have two different roles. Here's sources of protein. They really come from animal products. There can also be things like nuts and beans can be good sources of protein as well. But if you think about this, if us as humans are mostly made of protein, so is a cow. So when we eat hamburger or steak, we're eating the protein that they were made out of. So it's really kind of a big cycle.
Yep.
Here's some protein just to show you an example. Number two, we're going to discuss here are carbohydrates. Remember, we're discussing life substances. Carbohydrates are made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, no nitrogen. This is always going to be the ratio of the atoms in a carbohydrate. It's always a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio, and that's how you can identify something as being a carbohydrate. Building block of carbohydrates are called monosaccharides, which if you break this down, mono means one, saccharide means sugar, so carbohydrates are going to be sugars, basically. It's just a very long way of saying sugar, monosaccharide. Here are some examples of monosaccharides, glucose and fructose. Fructose would be something that would come from fruit, the word fructose. So these are very simple sugars. Just showing the chemical structure of a carbohydrate and what it would look like. If you take many monosaccharides and you join them together, you now have many sugars, which is considered a polysaccharide. So carbohydrates are going to be a little different whether they're going to be a monosaccharide or a polysaccharide. Their role will be different in living things depending on which type they are. Polysaccharides are more complex. They're things like starches, pasta, potato, breads. They're not as simple as the monosaccharides because there's more of them joined together. So it will take your body longer to break them down. Here's a polysaccharide. Just notice how much larger it is than the simple one sugar that we looked at earlier. It's a much larger molecule. The role of carbohydrates is they give you energy for the body. So you can either get energy from sugars or from starches. And showing sugar, if you eat something that's very simple with sugar, that was going to give you quick, immediate energy because it doesn't take your body to break down sugars because the molecules are very small. Something like bread is considered a starch or a polysaccharide. It's going to take your body longer to break this down because there's more molecules joined together in it. So you'll still get energy from this, but it's more of a slow release energy. So they both give you energy, but sugar is going to be a quick release. Starches will be a slow release. And I believe that concludes our presentation, and we will continue in part 2.